Wasn't bad when I was moving, but once I stopped, it got damn cold last night. I am down to my last liter of water here. I'm drinking it hot because it's cold out. The water cache should be down at the road. If that's not there, I'm going to have to do some hard evaluating. There is one other option within range, which is a well, which is an additional 5-6 miles. Otherwise, I'm going to have to bail out to one of the roads and try and beg some water. So I was expecting challenging water conditions out here. If anything, it is a little worse than I anticipated. I thought, based on my research, that cabin was going to be a reliable water source. But whatever I tried, I got a little water to come out and nothing ever came out again. I tried pumping, I tried not pumping, waiting, etc. All it would do was give me a little air, so it was connected to something, but... And the other thing about that water source, if you're watching this wanting to do it, it did feel kind of trespassy. The gut hook waypoints here I don't know what the source is, how old they were. You can see older comments saying that there was a cabin being constructed. There was a nice like 3-story cabin that I was staring at as I was trying to work this thing. There was nobody around, but I don't know, with the structures and the ponds and the cow tracks and everything, that felt like it was probably kind of trespassy. I could have got water out of those tanks midway through yesterday if I'd had some sort of a string to kind of dangle my CNOC. There was some like corpse of a squirrel or mouse or something rotting away in there. And it's not like there's fresh flow. You know, it's one thing if you've got something dead in a cistern that's being actively fed, but who knows how long that water's there. I do have an unanticipated advantage here. I met a CDT trail maintainer back around that Dead Man Peak race day, and he was actually going to be out here and has put some water caches at some of the roads. So I'm a little less at risk than I would be normally. Part of me feels like, oh, I'm cheating doing that, but yeah, I'll take it through here, quite frankly. It does look like if you do this in springtime, a couple of those creeks are flowing a little better. In retrospect, that one that I said was cow-trodden damp dirt, I might have been able to follow that up and find something, but I don't know. Like I said, even the little puddles look like they'd been kind of fouled and paid a lot of attention to by animals. Problem is, this section just doesn't have any attention paid to it, so I don't think there's a lot of foot traffic or any updating of, oh, hey, there's a well over here. Because I'll go a mile off trail to get water if I have to. I mean, that's kind of the reality. Had to do that on the Grand Enchantment. I've had to do that out here. I mean, see at the start of the Gila. That's fine, but when I'm out here, I don't have information on those wells. Again, in retrospect, I should have spent time going over the satellite shots and at least identified some wells nearby, just so if things get bad, I know I can at least head off there. Because the other option is I bail off the divide, head down to a road and try and beg some water. And it's not always readily apparent whether a road is going to be pavement and highly trafficked or if it's going to be some dirt road that maybe a rancher comes down twice a day, if that. Fortunately, today I have two fairly reliable sources within 10 miles. One is a well, one is the water cache. So at least today I should be able to reset. After that, it's 28 miles. If I can make miles, it's all good. It's just hard to say. I had some really weird chafing thing hit last night right as I was coming onto the top of that hill. That just killed me. Otherwise, I probably would have just walked down to the water cache so I could be enjoying, unlimited coffee this morning. I have 6 liters of hard-sided bottles, meaning, smart water bottles. That seems to be enough to get me through 2 nights and partial days on either side, as long as I don't drink too much, but I am rather thirsty. If it seems like this section is more stressful than fun, yeah, pretty much, but it's the challenging bits like this that tend to be memorable and, give you a bigger sense of accomplishment, plus pushes your skills. Most of the time, water carries are significantly shorter and you don't have to adjust as much as I'm having to. I didn't even bother staking things out last night correctly. I kicked away enough rocks to where I was only on reasonably lumpy ground and then set up and crawled in. I was really hurting. I'm assuming part of why why it was so cold last night was just because I'm up here at 9,000 feet. I've been kind of thinking this morning on how I react to the challenges out here earlier or later in the season. You know, early in the season, like starting at a glacier, there was snow, there was stuff like that, but you're all excited. Then that fades and you kind of settle in. But while the Bob was a challenge, you know, long food carries, yada, yada, and all the down trees, there were a ton of down trees in 2022. We were still fairly fresh, and I find I kind of throw myself harder into the challenges versus once I get to this phase where it's late in the trail, late in the season. It's not that I won't fling myself into the challenge anymore. It's just, it makes it harder. There's a part of me that basically wants the ending to be easier. That is, I guess, one of the bigger challenges coming southbound on this trail. Because if you're going to do everything, you know, the harder parts of this have been the San Juan section that most people shortcut through Creed, and then this section with the water carries. And I'm only 340 miles from the end, which would normally be, you know, the time where it starts feeling close. But since I've been dealing with everything since, I don't know, reserve, that's just kind of all been blown away. This bit is definitely going solidly into the type 2 fun category. Still excited to see it, but it's harder to just kind of ignore the water stress and everything. And I spent more time this morning looking ahead, you know, drinking my water ration, just double checking, trying to figure out if my water carries are still going to be reasonable. And as you saw yesterday, it's somewhat reading tea leaves, trying to guess whether a given water source is going to be workable or not. And there just is almost no comments from anybody in this time of year. There's a couple from the guy that was dropping water caches, who I am very grateful for at the moment. And then there was one guy out here in September. All the other comments I'm seeing are along the Pink Gila route. I still think I'm good until at least Winston. South of Winston, there's a few spots that have me a little bit nervous. There really is no way to tell. I mean, you can read comments and try and see, okay, well, if it was trickling in April, probably not going to be going now. Wells and springs tend to be perennial, but yeah, you can't tell. And even the stock tanks, I mean, if it comes down to it, I can completely trash my filter and filter something like that yellowy brown mess I found last night. That's going to make my filter very hard to manage for a while. Not to mention the water usually tastes pretty foul. But if it comes to that, or bailing off the route. But in all honesty, there is a big part of me that is yearning for the post-Silver City route, where things seem to get simpler and easier. There are water carriers, water caches, things like that, but it's a lot more straightforward. Less stress, more walking. Because, I mean, this has been a pretty damn long year. AZT and Grand Enchantment, then the Mississippi, and then the whole saga coming back out here. And I mean, I should have been done, you know, a week ago if I hadn't had that fall. But hey, still out here, still moving. And my gut hook comments feel really, really useful. At least now there will be a fall set of comments for all the water sources for anybody else who's trying this. I didn't cook dinner last night again. I was wanting to conserve water. I'm concerned about, you know, drinking and then waking up in the middle of the night and just being so thirsty and needing more with how dry it is on occasion. So I just had some cheese and a snack bar or two, and that was dinner. Good news is, assuming I take an extra day to get into Winston, I still have 3 dinners with me to make, assuming I have water. So if I can just hopped from cache to cache, I should at least be okay on food. Snacks, it's always kind of hard to tell. I just always keep an eye on my food pretty hard, because I've had experiences before where I ran out of food unexpectedly due to, delays later on, like on the Theodore Solomon. And being completely out is really miserable. It's really hard to exert when you're, hungry. Versus like in the San Juans, okay, I knew a couple of days ahead of time I was going to have to stretch, and you're just a little bit hungry for the entire time. At the moment, I don't think I'd change much as far as my plan how to reserve. Yeah, maybe I could have made another dinner, but if today or the next couple of days has a good long dirt road walk section and I can really get some miles, that would be a waste. And my pack was just bulging with all the bottles and all the food. And this is a 65-liter Catalyst. Can you imagine if I was one of those people trying to like jam into a circuit or any of those smaller packs? I'd really be screwed here. Or, I'd have to be one of those badasses that just can reliably do huge days. Though I did see one of those types come through. I don't know when he was out here, but there was somebody trying to set the FKT for the CDT, fastest known time. And he got into this section, water sources were dry, that he was expecting, and so he had to bail off into the Gila. I really don't know how the FKT even makes sense on this trail, just considering the number of alternates. Do they do the San Juans? Do they do this section? And what happens if you have somebody who manages to luck out condition wise, etc., actually do the entire red line, and then the next person comes along and does most of the red line and beats their time? Who actually has the FKT? All these things I contemplate when I'm out here with no reception. I am both highly impressed by how fast the FKT folks move, and the approach is so kind of opposite to what I come out here for, just as far as like, independence, yada yada, that it doesn't even appeal to me to the point where I follow any of it. I mostly hear about stuff secondhand. Granted, I'm just not a spectator sport person, hence why I never know what's going on with other YouTubers. People kind of seem to expect that I'm following Dixie and everybody else, and just really is not my thing. Now, if you want to know like what the latest Ray George pitch meeting was, oh yeah, I am absolutely up to speed on those. There are a couple other things I follow. There's the occasional one like Legal Eagle for current events with a expert perspective, and like there's one guy in the fish community that I follow, King of DIY, and there's a few people with exotic pets that I find that kind of interesting. I was talking to the guy back at the Toaster House, and I was explaining that I think why the hiker influencer YouTuber thing, the influencer thing, whatever the lane, doesn't interest me worth a damn. But I think why the hiker videos don't really do much for me is I kind of know the ins and outs of what it takes to dedicate your life to going big on that. So it's either confirmation of things I know, or tends to be, they're hiding this, they're not doing a very good job of influencing this. It's just not that interesting to follow. Versus if it's somebody who, built an entire aquarium gallery and is always doing these really cool projects, that's something that I can't do anymore because I don't have that sort of life. Same with exotic pets and things like that. There used to be a lot of other channels I followed that were more nostalgic reviews sort of things. There was a whole period on YouTube where people around my age bracket were posting reviews of video games, movies, TV shows, and things. And it's interesting getting the full story on shows where you only saw a handful. I watched plenty of A-Team or Gilligan's Island. I'm sure there are still episodes that I have not seen. Right now, about the only channel that I'll still watch, though, is for that sort of thing is Secret Galaxy. because the others have kind of gone the angry yelling at things route, which I used to put up with, see like Nostalgia Critic, things like that, because I was interested in the actual information they were putting out. But I don't know, as the whole angry just for the sake of being angry thing has taken over the political spectrum, and it's some of the people I have to deal with off trail, any of that just gets more and more tired. So today is Thanksgiving. Used to be, we would always do Turktacular trips. I'd always organize something to take advantage of the longer weekend. I mean, I was IT for 20 years and I had almost no time off. So any long weekend I would go as hard as I possibly could. Hence why I never had any concept of like a 0 day, even when I did the JMT or anything else, because I needed every day. There was no like sitting around and wasting time. So years and years and years ago, long before Jen and lots of things, Thanksgiving came around. I wasn't going to visit family. I forget what the reason was. So I decided I'm going to be around. I am basically going to hike a bunch of peaks. And I was trying to get to this emblem recognition for Sierra Club 100 Peak section. Decided to go out and hike these two desert peaks called Rabbit and Villager, which are two butt kicker, I call them day hikes. I see people do them as backpacks. That always seemed glutton for punishment because you got to carry your own water, and it's just one big long climb, thousands and thousands of feet out in the desert, but pretty straightforward. I go up there and I'm solo. It's, November, Thanksgiving weekend. And it was actually, I think, Thanksgiving Day. I push it to get to the second peak. I'm coming back down. And of course, sun's going down because short days. No problem. I have my headlamp on. I have done more night hiking than a good number of people over the years. Coming down, just minding my own business, watching the lights of the freeway off in the distance. And then I see eyes down below looking up at me. Now, I have enough experience. I have had the ever-living crap scared out of me by cows and deer because they have scary looking eyes by a headlamp. So I'm trying to figure out, is it a coyote? Is it a fox? Then the eyes move from one bush to another, and I can see it's feline and it's big, aka I have a mountain lion 100 feet away staring at me. So of course I go into kind of crisis mode, do what I'm supposed to, get big, yell, that doesn't do anything. Scoop up a rock really quick, making sure not to be bent over because you don't want to look small like, prey. This is why you're supposed to like pick up pets or small kids so they don't grab them. So grab a rock, throw it right by it, and its eyes snap to the rock, snap back to me, and it's like, oh! That actually probably freaked me out more. So I did have reception out there. I'm all alone. There's nobody else hiking. My car's by itself on the side of the road, and I'm way back in the desert. So I called a friend of mine who happened to be at Thanksgiving dinner. And I'm like, oh, hey, this might sound a little weird, but I'm sitting out here in the desert, and I'm staring down a mountain lion. And I can hear my friend basically relaying this to the rest of the Thanksgiving party along the tone of, well, of course Matt is out in the middle of nowhere staring a mountain lion down. So I kept talking just so I thought maybe I'd be extra human, plus then at least somebody'd know where I was if things went bad. Eventually, either it moved to the side enough or I just kind of worked my way around it, down the side of the hill. And it followed me for a little while. So now I'm hiking downhill backwards, basically, not wanting to run, but not wanting to sit there for half a night seeing if it goes away. And eventually, after some amount of time, it disappears. Sadly, this was back in the days of, point and shoot cameras where they didn't have that good of a night mode. So all I had picture-wise was dust speckles and a picture of the desert at night. So now I still have, a couple of hours to get down to my car. And those were very, very long hours because now, my mind's just playing all sorts of tricks on me. It's like, oh, okay, what if he's there and I'm just not seeing him? Wait. What if he has a layer down below and he's just like, well, the meat popsicle is walking that direction, so I'll just let him go down there and attack him. So it took forever. I finally get down to my car hours later. So, okay, all good. But I want to get out of there. I don't want to spend the night at the trailhead. It's cold. I've been making friends with mountain lions. It's time to go. So I drive, but it's a good 2+ hour drive to get back. It's basically Salton Sea area. And I'm getting tired. Finally, I'm like, okay, I have to sleep. This isn't safe. So I find one of those rest areas and I pull over, turn the car off, fall asleep. I don't even lay out, this is just exhausted, get a power nap, that sort of thing. I wake up and there's somebody standing right in front of the Jeep. Now I'm exhausted. I'm just coming out of sleep. And he had his head cocked down kind of weird, as I recall. It wasn't like he had a cell phone or anything on his shoulder. His head was just cocked. And it just struck me as really weird. Started the car, still too tired to drive. So I basically go to the far other end of the parking lot, park, turn off the Jeep, fall back asleep. So I fall back asleep, and then sometime later I wake back up and the same guy is right in front of me. I'm out of it, freaked out, but this just feels off. And so I just start the car, adrenaline gets me going, and I'm back on the freeway. I was on the freeway all of, 5 minutes, and then police lights come on behind me, and I get pulled over. I tend to be a fairly cautious driver. I've only been pulled over. That was probably the second time in my life, and I was in my 30s. So, guy pulls me over, says I was driving bad, and you can tell he thought it was a drunk stop, time of night and everything, because by now it's, late at night, and probably figures I was drinking and going out. Roll down the window, and could probably smell that I was not drinking. There was more of that kind of like hiker stench. And he's asking what's going on, and I'm explaining about, mountain lion. There's this guy that might have been an axe murderer when I tried to sleep. And he did a, little sobriety thing. And so he let me go. And that was enough to jolt me awake for the remainder. Because I wasn't going to stop anywhere. I wanted to get home. I got inside to my apartment, closed the door, fell asleep right on the doormat. So I'm pretty sure whatever the heck happens today won't be quite that adventurous. After that, I eventually got into this mode of doing Turktacular trips, often peak bagging, sometimes just going into an area camping with less peaks. It's cold, but you can get out and do things and, like Zion over Thanksgiving, stuff like that. If you're wondering where the trail went through there, I ended up wandering off on a ridge again, cut back, and this is the trail proper. It's marked, just not near as well as some of those earlier sections. So yeah, I've done Zion a couple of times. Did a fun one to Escalante at one point. I've done Vegas area. It was just one of those weekends when I could actually get away and enjoy a couple of days in a row, and so it made it worth it driving out that far. Because again, for the entirety of my IT career, I was always really low on vacation time. I would always use it, but between, family commitments and the, Sierra trips in the summer and stuff like that, I just never had extra vacation. And it's hard to accrue vacation when keep having this issue where after 2 to 5 years, the IT company that I'm working for implodes, gets sold. There's major fraud. That's happened more than once by one of the owners. And so all of a sudden you're having to start from scratch with a new company. And you're right back to, okay, you got to, pay your dues and work up till you have seniority. My last couple of jobs, I negotiated for more vacation time. You know, as you get more senior, you have the ability to do that. And that would basically be the tact I would take when I was doing the interview. It's like, okay, you know, I'm not expecting top tier salary here. You got to pay me a reasonable salary, but I would rather have vacation. And FYI, I am going to use that vacation. So I am descending down to the floor again, though there is another slightly more gentle climb that gets me back up to 9K towards where I would hope to end the day. We'll see if everything behaves as far as chafing and whatnot. I would much prefer to camp lower just due to temperature. This is another one of those slow go sections. There are actually posts and even CDT signs, but okay. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Trail Angel. Normally I try and minimize what I use out of a cache, but considering these were basically left for me and are going to be picked up in mid-December, I'm going to hit these pretty hard. Pretty sure there's actually somebody camped up there by the corral. Been hearing noises and could smell a campfire when I came over the ridge. Weather sure does look like it's changing versus yesterday. Yesterday it was actually hot at this time. So I've been sitting here drinking and debating. Unfortunately, I couldn't get more than about 1.5 liters down because it's cold, as thirsty as I am. So I think what I'm going to do, there is a well in 5 miles, but it's off trail. I'm a little worried about the timing with how much time I lost at the Gila. So I think what I'm going to do is just pack one of these out partially full with using part of the rope as a sling. That'll suck, but just for today. And that should give me a little more buffer because it's 32 miles until the next water cache, and the only other sources are ponds. And quite frankly, after yesterday, I'm feeling discouraged and a little bit stressed about water, and that's basically the only thing I can do to mitigate it, carry more weight. And worst case, if I decide this just isn't working, I can always drink or dump. I would drink the water, and then all I have to do is carry that empty in the string. At least this way I can drink a little more normally today. So many road miles on this trail, and here you have the trail deciding to stick to slow, rough terrain. Yeah, you see why I'm carrying the extra water. So I came down from that. That's interesting. Improved trail, and somebody's been out here doing trail maintenance recently-ish. More elk. Pretty sure I just caused a cattle stampede to the left and elk to take off to the right. Oh wow, not cattle. Look at that. Yeah, they must have been close to me. And now we're going the same direction, looks like. I thought they'd skedaddled further, but I guess not. Oh no! Apparently they aren't that good at jumping. And now, donkeys apparently. So I've come down this canyon, go around the corner, and then I climb over another mountain range. No easy mode today. And I spent all of yesterday hoping to run across somebody, hoping to secure a little more water. Oh well. So as planned, I'm bypassing the graveyard well, since that would take probably like a mile, and I'd have to filter, etc. With the water I hauled from the water cache, at this point I'm 27 miles from the next water source, and I have my full 6 liters, plus I drank, and I've gotten a good like half gallon down over this last section. I took a break where the RVs could see me, but nobody came over, and I'm not going to bother somebody out here looking for privacy in the middle of nowhere. Direction I'm hiking looks okay. Everything else looks like something's blowing in. I think this weather is playing into my fears of season-ending weather hitting. I feel like if I can get to Silver City, fairly likely to be able to finish. But this section has been incredibly slow. My legs are covered in brambles, barely any roads, on only periodic maintained trail, which, hey, usually all for that. It's just that late in the season thing I was talking about, combined with, I'm carrying 6 liters of water on my back, and for all I know, I'm going to run dry again like last night, and I'm having to stretch my food. And even once I get to Winston in, another 3-4 days, I've got another section like this, minus the water caches. Ask for a road walk, get a road walk. Just didn't specify I wanted it more horizontal than vertical, I guess. Well, as they go, that is a pond I would drink out of. I'm still full up though. End of a rather pleasant road walk. I'm not planning to push it too much today. I'm tired. Maybe it's the lack of food from last night. I think maybe I screwed up not staying in the nicely forested area down there. This is all just endless sticker plants. Damn it, if I'd known I was coming out of all those nice pine trees, I would have stopped. I'm looking for something, but kind of slim pickings. Plus, could be a storm starting tonight, so need protection. Okay, slightly lacking in headroom, and I've got to kick some more cow poop away, but you know what? It'll work. It's better than the other options around here, and I'm just done. And there's a lot more to get over this. Other than the risk of putting my eye out or putting a hole in through something due to overhanging branches, this is actually kind of a cool little protected spot. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know if it's just that it's Thanksgiving, and with this opportunity passed, I won't see Jen for at least 3 weeks, or if it's just how this section's going, or if it's the fact I've got, not the best outlook. Last I heard, 3 days worth of storms at least, and always the chance that this becomes untenable. And even going forward, I've got another 50 some miles into Winston. Today was a lot better terrain wise, but who knows? So that's probably 3 days and change. At which point I load up with food and I've got another 100 some mile thing. Once I get past that, it feels home free. I mean, hell, I'm back on the populated part of the red line. But yeah, I'm feeling discouraged. And last night was rough. So, as always, just make it to the tent. Try again tomorrow. Home sweet home. Had to come back out. Just hit peak sunset. There I am tucked away. Jen would love this camp. It's like something out of a fantasy book. And I'm at least a little bit protected in here. Hopefully the ground will be warmer too.